Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today is a cottage garden cleanup. That is right, my friends. We are knocking on the door for it officially being winter, and so we are going to kind of put our final touches on the cottage garden today, getting it off to a really great start for the winter, so that way we have a beautiful springtime. And after this, I should not have to do anything to this garden until springtime. So what does that mean we're going to do? Well, first of all, we're literally going to do some cleaning. So we have got a nice collection of leaves that have gotten caught up in here. We've got some weeds, I am sure, because winter weeds in the South, my goodness, they are a pain in a gardener's tush. Let's just say that. So we've got that, and then I've got some annuals that need to come out because clearly they're dead, and then cut back some perennials. So as I always say, I figured if it's happening in my garden and this is an issue that needs to be addressed in my garden, then odds are it's going to happen in somebody else's garden as well. So let's just do it together, because iron sharpens iron, and sometimes we just need gentle reminders of what to prune, what can we touch, and then what do we need to leave alone. So let me flip the camera around, let me show you the space, and kind of give you an overview of what we're going to do today. The cottage garden consists of these two beds on each side of the steps. Then kind of where Brenna is, we kind of call that the cottage garden extension. It's still part of the cottage garden, but this is the part that we extended late last summer and into the winter. And then we're also going to address the long skinny bed that is right there along the grass. So first things first, of course, if there are weeds, we need to pull the weeds. I know we've got some weeds down there by the podocarpus, so we'll take care of those as well. And then, like I said, we've got summer annuals in here. So I've got my meteor shower verbena. Technically, it could be a perennial for me, so we're going to give that a little trim. And then I have the this is the Maestro Agastache that's going to be introduced as an annual this coming year from Proven Winners. We trialed it here in our garden, and again, it will technically be a perennial for me. So we're going to try that. So we're going to cut that all back. We're going to take care of those. What we're not going to touch is going to be my perennial grasses. We've got a couple of them in here. This is the Cheyenne Sky. I like to leave them for winter interest. I will trim those sometime probably in February. We're not going to touch our buddleias. This is the butterfly candy. They're looking fabulous, so we're going to leave them alone. You prune those again kind of that same time or even a little bit later than the grasses in the springtime. And then more of like the verbena in here, just leave all that alone. Probably go ahead and cut back my Amsonia. I absolutely love this Amsonia. It is a native perennial. It just performs magnificently well. And y'all, just so that you feel better about your own garden, I have this weed that has lived in this Amsonia for years. It's some sort of dandelion in that family, and the taproot on this thing is insane. As you can see, it is clearly smack dab in the middle of this Amsonia, and no matter how much I try, I cannot get this thing out. So we'll try once again to at least get the green out, but we're going to cut this back down to the ground. Same thing with, I've got my Baptisia, prune those, Coreopsis, daylilies, a lot of things in here that we're just going to prune back and clean up, because what we're going to do is after the cleanup, we're going to put this to bed. So what do I mean when I say we're going to put the garden to bed? We are literally going to put a blanket on this garden. Down on the end where we planted, have all the tulips. Those are the golden perisma. Oh my gosh, there's 700 of them. They are these bright yellow. It's the exact same ones I did last year. They're beautiful. So what we're going to do is put a nice layer of the Daddy Pete aged pine bark on that. Literally putting a blanket on the garden. And then here, I really do want to put down some compost first, because This bed did go under construction when we did all the walls and all of this stuff. It really was under construction. And so we have some rocks and we have some red clay that's been pulled up and all sorts of things. So we need to go ahead and amend the soil, add in that compost. This is the perfect time to do it because I'm going to clean all of this up. I'm going to get rid of, dead plant debris. And then it's, my plants are not all flushed out. So we easily can maneuver in the bed, put down a nice layer of compost, and then we're going to come back and put the Daddy Peat on top of that. I do this once a year. And I prefer doing it this time of year because of those reasons that I just said. And because, do you notice what I'm wearing? That's right, it's chilly out here, and I would much rather be doing this when it is 40 degrees instead of 90 degrees in the south. It's just nasty then. So I prefer physically working out in the garden in these kinds of temperatures than in the heat. So, but first things first, I have got some cleaning up to do. If there's something that I think that you absolutely need to know, then I will stop and we'll talk about it. But basically, we're just going to go through and tidy it all up. Let's get started. Okay, my friends, so I have gotten all of the beds cleaned up. So what that entails is removing the thick leaves that were crowded up around any shrubs or perennials. We got the perennials cut back, so the Amsonia, got it cut. I've never left my Baptisia this long in the garden, so I went to go cut it to the ground and it literally just snapped right off. So that was super easy. So I have the lemon meringue on both corners and the back. So they just literally just kind of like snapped off and pulled out of the ground. So easy on that. And then daylilies. Daylilies are so easy to take care of. It's as simple as this. If you wait long enough, the foliage will turn brown or yellow or a little bit of green, like you can see right here. And once it turns brown, it just pulls right off. When it's still in that yellow and green stage, you're gonna have to cut it. But your daylilies, all of that is gonna be brand new foliage in the spring, so you can literally just cut it straight down to the ground. My nepeta, so what I did with that is just trimmed up the edges. It'll be a semi-evergreen for me. So I just came around the edges and the foliage that had already kind of died and gotten brown and crusty, really kind of gray, not brown. Just went ahead and trimmed that up. And then my Stokes asters, they will stay kind of this green for quite a long time, if not for the whole winter. And there were just some of the old stems down here. So all I did was just snap them off so they're not like sticking up. So it was easy as that. Yeah, and then you'll notice that I do have those spring flowering bulbs that are coming up, and Brittany and Cece are helping me put out the land and sea and the mulch. And so I just told Brittany, I said, don't worry about those the snowdrops, they will be just fine. We can cover them up and it won't be a problem whatsoever. So yeah, there you go. A little look on how the bed is doing. Cut the verbena just down to the ground, and then same thing with the lantana. So I had left the lantana in here as long as I possibly could because it was flowering, and let the pollinators use it as a food source. And the great thing about lantana is it's super drought tolerant, but it's drought tolerant because it has this crazy extensive root system. And I took the lazy way out, the smart way out, whatever you want to call it, and I just cut it to the ground. So I didn't rip it out, I just cut it to the ground. Yes, there's a chance it'll come back. If it does, yay me, and if it doesn't, well, no big deal whatsoever. So now what we're doing is getting out the land and sea. Brittany's almost got this bed done. Let me show you. So we're just trying to give it just a nice little covering, right? So I always preach to you, amend, amend, amend the soil. So she's got anywhere from like 1/2 inch to 1 inch in there, which is perfect. I just needed that little bit of a blanket on these plants to help feed them, because I like doing it in the fall/winter because it will decompose as it rains. It leaches down, gives those plants nutrients. And so you can see she's just snuggling it in up underneath the plants. As simple as that. When you've got those big patches of perennials, just kind of nestle it in there. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And then Emily's up there in the corner. She's learning how to crochet. So Brittany is a master crocheter, we're gonna say, because she was wearing her sweater yesterday that she made. And so Emily decided while she's home on break from college, she was like, I need a hobby. So she went and got all the supplies. So Brittany is teaching her back and forth in the as she's working, and Emily's getting some vitamin D as well. So we're just gonna continue this laying out the land and sea, and then we're gonna top dress with Daddy Pete and get this job done and get this garden put to bed for the winter. All right, my friends, through the magic of television, the bed is officially done. It is mulched, it is pruned, it is cleaned up, it is composted, all of the things. I know we didn't show any of the footage of us putting down the mulch. That is because sweet friends, Tina and Archie, they came by the nursery, and so I stepped away from this project and went and hung out with them. And they are like the perfect example of started out as customers and have turned into dear, dear sweet friends, and I just adore them. So Tina, they live out of town, and so Tina texted me and said, hey, we're gonna be in Charlotte. If you're around, we'd love to stop by. And I was like, come on, sister. So I went and hung out with them for a little while, stepped away from here. Brittany and Cece did a phenomenal job getting this bed mulched. I came in at the last minute and kind of helped out just a little bit, but they did a great job, and it looks so good. It looks like $1 million. Let me show you. So there you go, my friends. From a tip all the way down, it is just looking so good. I tell you, you know, neat and tidy and some fresh mulch. It's like, ladies, I say it's like the lipstick or the earrings to the outfit. It just makes it pop and just looks so nice. Really, I don't have anything else to do in this flower bed until probably about mid-February. At that point, I will come through and I will go ahead and prune back my perennial grasses down to the ground, give them a flat top. And then at that point, everybody's going to get a dose of slow release fertilizer. So everything is in, it looks good, it's nice and neat and tidy. Now, yes, I know that I have some plant tags sticking out of the ground. I intentionally left those for right now until we could compost and mulch, so that way I can know what the plant is, and then I'm going to come back in like a day or so and use my little copper tags and label them. But I didn't want to put the copper tags while we were still mulching and composting, because it's inevitable that you'll step on them and then they get bent. So didn't want to do that, so just left those in. I promise I will clean it up and it will look, that will even take it to the next level. But it feels so good to get this bed done. Most of you know, of course, that the house is just like, you know, right there. And that is the window above my kitchen sink. And I'm spending a lot of time at that kitchen sink in these cooler months. And so I see all this. And so to have this bed all neat and tidy, it just makes me feel better. And I feel like we were really like doing a really good job, because as far as staying on top of this bed, because it was in early summer, I want to say it was. Maybe it was before the signature experience that Jesus and Heriberto helped me. We composted and mulched this bed again. And so to do it again in the fall is great, and that will get us off to a really, really good start. We'll not have to mulch this bed in the springtime because, like I said, all the shrubs, the perennials, they're getting bigger every single year. And so there's not going to be a whole lot of room to put some annuals in here, which I am perfectly fine with. There'll be little pockets here and there that I can put some things in. But yeah, so this is becoming a little bit of a more hands-off flower bed, which I love. But going for all that big pops of color, of course, that you know that I love. So if you're able to get out there in your garden, I would highly encourage you to do so. If you can't get out in your garden, but you can get outside and put your little face up to the sun, you know, basically we're a flower. We need some sun and some water and a time of rest, and we're good. So make sure you get your water and make sure you get your sunlight. If it's available for you, that would be a great thing. So we would love it if you would like and subscribe to Gardening with Creekside. That way you don't miss those 5 videos that we do each and every week. Y'all have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends.